if any of you, want to listen to what we've talked about again, we can. And we will post that link in our meetup group for this particular session. And I think Zoom will also send out a link, or I can make it send out a link to anybody that registered for this Zoom. All right, Crystal, is there anything that you want to add to what we have determined we're going to do?
You're on mute, Crystal.
You're muted, Crystal.
There you go.
Okay, I was trying to do that trick of shift, but it didn't do it. So I had to actually
It's space bar.
space. Oh, well, no, I did space, but I thought then it said shift space. So, hey, there is Susan. So, no, I just want to, oh, she's in Australia.
Yeah, I'm in Sydney Harbor.
You know, I climbed that bridge.
You climbed it? Oh, I'm impressed. I just walked it. I didn't climb it.
No, we did a bridge climb during the Olympics back in 2000. It was really cool. Anyway,
Oh, wow.
sorry, off topic. I just wanted to apologize. We didn't intentionally mean to make this as confusing as possible. Plans just changed along the way. So I think we'll get everything going better as people get used to what we're actually doing. And that's all I really have to say, Lisa.
Okay, I just didn't want to, like, I knew that there was a lot we talked about, and I'm like, I don't remember if I got it all. All right, so with that said, we are going to go, I'm just going to switch over and share my screen, and I want to bring up our meetup, which is right here. And I want to bring up our images that we have loaded. Hang on, let me get them. Come on. My internet is, sometimes it's a little slower. Okay.
So do we want to even talk about the ones that the people aren't present?
I don't know. I think it's kind of interesting to just, talk about what you like about the image. If you had taken the image, maybe what you would have done differently. Or if you've got nothing, you've got nothing. Because I think we can learn, even if it isn't our image. But I mean, out of respect for somebody that's not here, I don't know how we should handle that.
I bet if we want to keep this to an hour, we'll spend more than an hour discussing the photos of those that are here, but up to you guys.
Yeah, I agree. I think we can probably just skip over because there's, well, not all of us have images though. I mean, I didn't put anything in, and you didn't put anything in. Darren didn't.
No, nothing.
Yeah. So.
Oh, you guys.
I can just say one quick thing about this image, the duck image.
Yeah.
Yep.
The goose. Just as a general reference for people to keep in mind is that your eye naturally gravitates to the brightest spot of the image, and where the top part of the image is super bright, it takes your attention away from the duck. I think if the photographer would have cropped in tighter around the duck so where the darker water was the background and eliminated that top part, I think it would have made the duck or the goose pop out a little bit more.
Oh, that's a great observation. Thank you for that. That's good.
You know, one other thing is if they could have waited till there would have been a reflection in the duck's eye or the goose's eye.
Yeah, that's a big deal to have that glint in the eye with any sort of wildlife.
A catch light.
Catch light, yes.
Yep. Yeah, and we know how hard that is to get with wildlife, right?
Yeah.
All right, so moving to the next image. The
And
spoon.
Gary's not here. I thought Gary would be here.
I thought he would be here too, but he's not. But I want to just say, I guess we're going to go through every image. We don't have to spend a lot of time on it, but this was one of my favorite images because I love the simplicity of it. I think that that's the thing I love the most about it.
I couldn't tell what the reflection was. I see that there's a golden spot, but my point of view, without knowing what's reflecting, it looks like there's a hole in the spoon.
Yeah.
That's true.
So
Now that I see that, I can't unsee that.
yeah.
It's kind of like a grid, on your flowers.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. This one.
Deborah's here.
Yeah, Deborah's here. So Deborah, do you want to tell us a little bit more about what your thoughts were when you took this picture?
Pretty much says it in the title. I looked at was looking around the condo for reflections, and I hadn't turned my monitor on yet, and I saw the door. It's actually my closet door reflecting the monitor. And I thought, yeah, that computer, that monitor, that's my key to the outside world, my door to the outside world now. So
Yeah, I really got that when I first saw it. It made me smile a little bit.
yeah, it's a smile, but then in a way it's kind of sad that that's where it is, but it is what it is. So I realize it's not a art image by any means, but it's certainly an everyday reflection and I think also reflective of where we are right now in the world.
I agree, and I think that your title ties into your feelings as well, and it does help to tell the story.
Yeah, I'm glad you were here to explain it because I totally missed it and it's kind of brilliant in a way. I mean, you've got the door and you've got the monitor, which is now the door. I think that's cool.
Thank you.
I didn't even make that connection, but yeah, the monitor.
I didn't either until just now.
Well, Deborah, at least it's not bars.
It's not what? I'm sorry.
Prison bars.
Oh,
You've got a door. There's some freedom there.
yeah.
All right. I'll go to the next one. So Elaine did this one. I think actually what I liked about this one was, just the capture of, the notice from the Denver Art Museum. Because we're seeing that on a lot of doors of stores and different places that are closed. So I think, in the storytelling realm of photography, right? To me that helps to tell a part of the story. Anybody have anything else they want to add about this one?
No, I don't.
No.
Okay, and this is also Elaine's, kind of a similar field. Does anybody have anything they want to talk about on this one?
Well, it resonates for me personally because I love that whole area. I for a long time I volunteered at the public library's technology center and I used to work downtown, so that anything reflecting those buildings resonates with me anyway. And the kind of emptiness, I just get that. I get that certain feeling from those.
It's eerie right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, our next one, actually, I'm just going to skip over because we've done a few in a row. All right, this one is riches, and I think here's one other thing I will add. In all of these weekly themed meetups, I just want to reiterate that these would be pictures that you have taken while you're in this quarantine, stay at home, isolation kind of phase. And I'm guessing that this one was probably taken at a different time.
Good guess. So,
Yeah,
just
those
move
are
on.
fall colors.
Where does anybody know where Rich lives?
Yeah, that might be his backyard view for all we know.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, we don't know, except it does look a little bit like fall colors.
Yeah, I'm seeing fall color there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Mhm. So, so I think with that said, I'm just going to move on.
And if it's his backyard, we're coming over.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
time to
Especially under the new moons.
Okay, this is Bruce's. So Bruce, you want to tell us a little bit about this image?
Okay, so kind of like what somebody else mentioned, I was just kind of looking around the house trying to find stuff that was reflecting. And we've got this marble countertop, and my wife's glasses were sitting on it. And the light coming in that's being reflected is the shutters. And so I thought it was kind of cool the way the glasses distorted those. So I just kind of moved them around so it was a little more where the two shutters met more in the middle of the glasses. And that's all I did other than crop it the way I wanted.
It's nice. I like it.
It is. It's excellent.
I think,
Let's look at it.
Bruce, I think this is I think that your idea and your vision behind this is really, really good. I just would like to see the glasses placed somewhere where there's not a super dark black line going through almost the middle of the image. Like if you could have moved them to the left or the right a little bit to have the glasses more reflective just behind the lighter parts of the light coming through the window.
Yeah, it might be interesting to try. So I did move them to make it deliberately so that those lines were in the middle because I didn't want them blocking like a whole lens. But maybe I could move them completely over and you didn't see the line at all. Possible.
Yeah. I think you need a good title that relates to the distortion of the vision.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have a technical question. I'm just curious about where was the camera in relation to the lens? Were you above or the glasses? Were you?
No, I'm above.
Okay. So one thing you might try just as a different variation is put the camera right on the marble countertop as well.
Yeah, I don't think that'll work because then I won't get the reflection.
Actually, you will get the reflection. Okay, then maybe not put the camera on the marble countertop, but put the lens like on the marble countertop. So maybe you're.
What I'm saying is the light would be if you're on the countertop and you look straight across, you would literally be looking at the shutters. So the light from you'd be.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I got you, Bruce. Yep, that makes sense.
So that's why I did it that way.
Yep, I know exactly what you're saying. Thank you for clarifying.
Okay, this one is, oh, hang on, whose was this? This is Gwen's. I just really like the reflection of, the, what do you call those, cattails, in the water and the sky.
Yeah, I wish I was there.
I like the framing, how it framed everything. Like you got the frame of the cattails and then you got the frame at the bottom. Kind of makes it symmetric.
All right, going to the next one. Okay, this is Winston's. Any comments here, or, I mean, he's not here either. This is another from Winston.
I like that one.
Yeah.
I do too. I like just how the top of the duck and the bottom of the duck's reflection is kind of like right in the center of that photo, or just a little off center.
Yeah, you did a good job with the placement or crop.
The muted colors and how soft it is around the duck is cool too.
Yeah, I love the blues in the
Yeah.
way up here.
The colors are nice.
The water's a nice pastel color. I really like that. That came out nice.
And here is another one, so kind of the same thing from Winston. Oh, this is Gary. I was trying to figure out inside of the crystal shop. Huh. Yeah, I was trying to figure out what store this was at or where this was. It is a very interesting picture. It's busy and interesting kind of all at the same time. I wouldn't have known where that was coming from at a glance unless he told me that.
Isn't that a person top center?
Yeah, I think it is.
Can you enlarge it, Lisa?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yep.
Oh yeah, that's a lot nicer.
I don't see.
Yeah.
I see
Well,
cars.
it looks like a neckline. You
She has a
can't,
V
if I
neckline.
point, you can't see where I'm pointing to, but when you enlarge it, I don't think it looks as much like it was a person, but that
And it
V,
Well, you
like
can
a
see,
neckline of a dress.
and you can see what looks like chain link fence and cars on the left.
Mhm.
It's really interesting when you make it big. It didn't fascinate me smaller.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
A tighter crop would benefit if you could get rid of the far right hand side and just have the reflections. I don't know what you want to call them, bubbles or divots, whatever's in the crystal. Not so much the edge of what it is, but just the crystals or the
Yeah.
divots themselves.
I wonder if that would make a really cool Jeff Johnson overlay.
I'm sure it would.
Oh, that's funny.
It's funny. It is.
I wish MeetUp would fix it so you could go full screen to the next photograph without having to.
Yeah, I wish it would too. It would make it easier for me.
Yeah.
Even when you're just looking at them, it's so much harder.
Yeah.
All right, anybody on this one? Oh, I didn't say whose it was. It belonged to Gwen's.
Yeah.
Gwen.
Skipping the rocks.
I feel like the image, it's a great image. I just feel like the title doesn't work with the image, because when I think of skipping rocks, I think of kids standing on a shoreline throwing rocks into the water, not
Right.
Yeah.
hopping over them with their fishing pole. I think a refined title would make this image 10 times better.
Rock hopping,
Oh, gone fishing.
It's fishing.
Yeah.
gone
Yeah.
fishing. Mhm.
Yeah,
Right.
I agree with that.
But I do love how they captured the reflection in the water. I really do, because it's almost kind of hard to see the fishing pole in the top part, but it reflects super clean in the water.
And the
Mhm.
fact that you can see the whole fishing pole and it
Yeah.
doesn't kind
Yeah.
of off.
Yeah, it was a really great crop on that, because you do get to see the whole fishing pole, both in the reflection and in the image itself. So I love that.
If it was mine, I'd crop a little bit off the left.
I agree with you.
Yep. That's a good one. Oh, I forgot to,
Who is that?
Kathy.
this is Kathy's. And did she have a title on that? Just a window reflected in a painting. I think for the longest time, I thought that there was a face of a person off to the lower right, but I think it's all part of that painting.
Oh yeah, I see two faces.
Yeah, but I
Actually,
think
I see three faces total.
that's,
That's crazy.
it is kind of crazy. I think actually it would have been kind of cool if there would have been something looking back in that window. But an interesting reflection. Oh, I know this artist.
That's interesting. What is, I mean, obviously it's that crystal ball, but how did you do that?
Well, you know, I was just playing around. So I set up a little studio in my dining room, and I set my lens ball on a connector for my hose. That's what it's sitting on. And then I turned on my ring light.
Oh,
And the result, the ring light, I don't know where that red light that's coming through, I don't know where that came from, but the light itself is the ring light, and it reflects multiple times in that ball.
golly.
Oh,
It looked like an eyeball from some like Twilight Zone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have called it like really art. It was just like, an experiment. All right, let me close some of these out. Oh, this one, I was, again, I'm playing in the same place, but I set my beer, and by the way, Darren, that's the beer that you have to try.
Yeah, the bleeding heart. I see that.
The Bleeding Heart beer. But I set my beer on my iPad, and it was my iPad that, you know, to create the reflection. But my iPad ran out of space, so I didn't get the full reflection.
Mm.
I probably could have scooted it back a little bit more and maybe got more.
yeah, I think I'd like it a little bit better if it was black instead of green behind it, though.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
So where did you get this bleeding heart beer? I never heard of that.
Oh, I got it in Loveland. They do it every year for,
Oh, for Valentine?
yeah.
Oh, wow.
And you have to buy it. You can buy it at local, you know, liquor stores, but they sell out really fast.
I'll bet.
All right, this of course is just the variation. I've got the beer, and now it's upside down reflection in my lens ball, and you can see I have my still light, so you can see the umbrella.
That's
Yeah.
what I was going to ask you, if that was an umbrella. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, enough of me already. I'm sorry. I didn't really think I uploaded all of those. This is just a fake chrome little tchotchke camera that I was playing around with on my iPad.
Yeah.
And just, I was kind of trying to see how the reflection happens. So that was it.
You know, there's something about that. I mean, obviously I know it's not a real camera, but there's something about the look of it. It almost looks as if it's encased in ice. And I go through phases where I feel like I can't do diddly squat in terms of getting good images. And I feel it almost sums up for me that feeling that my camera is somehow encased in ice that I can't break through. I know that sounds crazy, but then I've been home alone a lot, okay?
Haven't we
Is
all?
that a charm bracelet kind of thing? I mean, how big is that little camera? Is this a macro
It
shot?
looks tiny.
About the same size as my camera.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's,
I have one of those that looks exactly like that, but it's a Christmas ornament that we hang on the tree.
oh yeah, this one's about as big as my camera, maybe tiny bit smaller.
I gotta go, guys.
Oh,
Talk to you later.
thanks,
Emergency.
Karen.
Bye.
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 Who was that left?
It's me. I have to go, Lisa. Darren.
Okay. All
We
right.
have,
Bye.
we have a family emergency. Sorry.
Gotcha. Good luck.
Thanks.
Bye.
Gotta figure out how to get out of this.
Leave meeting.
Yeah, I don't see that because you're share. Oh, here we go. Never mind. Participants. Darren.
You should, yeah, you should just be able to go up and just close out your browser window, Darren.
Can't.
You go where it says leave. At the very bottom corner. on
Oh,
the
I
right-hand
got it. I got it. Thank you. See you guys later. I'll be in touch.
Okay.
All right.
side.
Thanks. Goodness, I hope everything's going to be okay. All right, so this is Judy's image.
Oh. Almost looks like a painting.
Yeah, it's an interesting reflection because you get all the cattails and then you get the turtle. And
Yeah. And the water gives the cattails kind of that impressionistic look. There's just enough movement in the water.
yeah,
I think they're too bright. I think it needs to get toned down.
Yeah.
and
Maybe, yeah,
cropped.
maybe
It's
that's
so busy.
yeah, I think you're right about that too. I would agree, Crystal.
yeah, and maybe cropped in a little more on the turtle.
Yeah, the turtle's the point of interest. The background's pretty cool, but that's where your eye goes, is to that
Yeah.
background.
You're right. It's too bright, and I think maybe there's too much of it.
And so maybe if that turtle, if it was cropped in and the turtle was just a little bit off to the left,
Yeah.
Agreed. Left bottom of the.
yeah,
Yeah, because I like that.
then it would draw your eye in.
So this is a nice photograph, and since watching Jeff Johnson's Raw to Awe presentation a couple of weeks ago, I keep looking for pop, and this has got no pop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it could, but it just doesn't right now.
I think on the edit,
I think you're right. I think you're right, Suzanne. It sure could.
Cool.
Yep.
and it may not be the reflection pop. It may be you get rid of the reflection so you have the turtle, the details in it. But yeah, I agree. Keep going.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to see whose this was. This is Kathy's too. Yeah, so you can see the reflection of whatever that room is.
Yeah.
That's cool.
All
Yeah,
right,
it is.
walk us through this. This one's cool.
Yes.
Okay, so there's two of these in a row. And my wife has this mirror that she uses for her hair and stuff. On one side, it's round. On one side, it's a regular mirror. On the other side, it's a magnifying mirror so you can see your giant imperfections. So I was playing around. So and these are chess pieces that my mom actually made for me, 50 years, 30, 40 years ago. And I took I started with one light and ended up trying to use two because I couldn't reflect back. So on the one on the left in this case is the actual piece, and the one on the right is the reflection. And
Oh,
I stuck it on top of a Amazon Alexa thing just to have a little black thing to stick it on.
yeah.
Yeah, cool.
What are they made out of, Bruce?
They're ceramic.
They're really nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're really cool.
Yeah.
that's a beautiful image.
So the one on the left is sitting, I'm having a hard time figuring out how they are positioned. The one on the left is in front of the mirror.
Correct.
I'm still not, I'm not seeing how, I'm just still not seeing the full setup because,
So I'm pointing straight at the mirror with
okay,
the camera,
okay,
and the light is behind the mirror on the right, lighting up the backside of the night in this case, so that's why you see the reflection has more light on the face than the actual piece itself.
okay. Nice. I like it.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, that is a really interesting one.
Very creative.
Yes.
Here's its,
Mm-hmm.
So here's the other one, and this is the flip side of the mirror where it magnifies it.
Ah,
Yeah, that's,
so the one in the rear is the one that's in focus, and the other one's,
Yeah, this one I have a little better depth of field, or a little more depth of field than I did in the other one. So they're more, both of them are a little more in focus. But in this case, the one, yeah, I kind of tried to focus in between them manually.
yeah.
but had you not told me that was a mirror, I didn't know what it was. You know, the circle.
Yeah, I didn't either. I wondered, it's like, how do you do that?
Yeah, it was a fun project.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, it was nicely executed.
love it. Great job.
Thanks.
Yes.
Suzanne, you want to walk us through on this one?
Well, I have one of those figurines of the bear, and he sits, or stands, as it were, on a little table in my entry hall, and he's just tall enough that his paws are on the mirror. And I decided that since I see that reflected all the time, I would take sort of see what it looked like if I tried to get in with my camera. Of course, it turned out I had to dust the bear and clean the mirror because
Of course.
my camera caught all the dust. I don't know. I think I'm going to work on try some more takes on this. I brought out some detail better.
Does he have to lean against the mirror, or will he stand up by himself?
He'll stand up by himself, but he's got his paws up, and it seems sort of odd if he's not touching the mirror because it's.
Well, the reason I asked is if you could separate it where you could see the nose with
Yeah.
a little separation between them, it might be interesting too. I don't know.
I think you're right. I think that's the problem with this particular shot is that the face just isn't quite there, either from the original or the reflection. So I may work on him some more before it gets dusty again.
You know, the other thing that other photographers have talked about, and now I try to observe it and remember it, is your eyes always go where the light is.
Uh-huh.
So this on his back that we see, I wonder if you could tone down that light right there so that the light is more into the reflection or the picture itself.
That's an excellent point. Thank you.
Yeah, I saw you post this today and I just loved it.
Well, I love the bear.
That's cool.
That's cool. All right, this one is Suzanne. So tell us about this one.
Well, this is part of what you see when you go off, if you go to the fire escape. I live in a condo building just off of Hamden, and we have the embassy suite is behind us, and a little further, and it sits in a little mini office park with a bunch of these glass buildings. So when you go to the, in fact, I live at one end of the building, and this is the fire escape down at the other end. So I just like to go out there and see what I can get shooting. I cropped it obviously, but shooting the, see what's being reflected in one of those buildings, the one we can see the most of from the fire escape. Last night's view wasn't particularly wonderful. The real spooky thing, which I didn't take a picture of, which is a quote unquote reflection of the times, is looking down at the Embassy Suites parking lot, it is empty. I've never seen it empty. Spooky.
Yeah, the distortion makes it look like a gaudy style building.
Yeah, it is kind of gaudy anyway, but yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a number of interesting images embedded in this thing.
Yeah.
It looks like a bunch of H's.
Oh, it does, doesn't it?
It looks like a bunch of Egyptian things on the building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I love buildings that, you know, have that mirrored, you know, like the flash cube look.
Yeah. I've actually gone out and I've taken a lot of pictures of these, my neighboring glass buildings. And in fact, I went out this morning to see it. And one of these days I'm going to get out there when we really have a good sunset and try to catch the reflection of that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I bet that would be awesome. Okay, this one, you want to tell us about this one?
Well, it's basically a little surrealism because it's, again, it's in the condo. We have these balconies and they're glassed in with windows. And at night, when I pull all the blinds up, I'm actually looking. This is a picture taken through the window at the end of my lanai, looking down the building. But the way because of the light at night, it reflects, that is what you're looking at, is the view that I'm looking at with the shutters and the masonry, and even my neighbor downstairs watching TV, you can see him sort of toward the bottom.
Oh.
But it also reflects what is behind me, which is the sliding door into my living room. So it looks like on the side of this building, you've got this open door into a living room. I don't know. It's just a little surreal and confusing and disorienting, and I don't know.
It's a little like voyeuristic.
Yeah. Yeah. Except I didn't realize I could see my neighbor down there because I forgot he always sits in that room to watch TV, because I usually keep the blinds on that window, I usually keep them closed just because of all the reflections. But anyway, I'm looking at my own windows, by the way. Those are my own windows, the shutters ones.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Real life.
Is Tamara's. Tamara, you want to tell us about this one?
Sure, I live on the 3rd floor, and that's my balcony, and that's my living room table. And you can see that's the tree reflecting into my table, onto my table.
Along with the cloud.
And the sky.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like the slice of nature inserted into the kind of all the man-made environment there.
It looks like it's shaped like a guitar pick.
It is an odd shape, actually. It is an odd shaped table.
Yeah, that's cool. And here's another one. You want to tell us what you're thinking here?
Well, I was, like I said, I live on the 3rd floor balcony, and I have the mountains, and I was using my mirror and my photo frame, and I got pictures of those. And as I was taking my stuff and putting it all away, my cat likes water, everything water. So I happened to see him, and I was like, oh, got to get this. So it was just impromptu. He just happened to be there. I snapped it, and that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good reflection. You got him in the bars.
Yes, it is good.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right, so I think that was the last image. Yep.
Oh.
So I'll stop the sharing.
What is the next one next week? I forgot
The
already.
next one is leading lines, and it starts, now. And some people, I mean, people have already been in there, but there's a little write-up about what, like leading lines and different things. I think it's a little challenging to do when you're at home, some of these exercises. But I think the whole purpose was really, because we are at home, doesn't mean we can't be creative. And we really have to stretch our mind and what we think we see. And there may be more that we could see if we just stretch a bit.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
This makes us a lot more creative when you see what other people are thinking. Because
Yes, it
Yeah.
is. It is always helpful.
yeah,
Lisa, quick question about leading lines. Traditionally, leading lines lead to something, the focal point of your photograph. Is that what we're trying to do, or does, say, geometric lines meet the criteria?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know that I had any more purpose other than like your interpretation of leading lines. I'm not a trained photographer in the sense, like I didn't take, everything I do I've learned on my own or through workshops, right? So my idea of like an example was Crystal said yesterday, she said something to me about the 12 faces or the 12 steps of a mirror reflection or something. And I'm like,
now it's the 12. Okay, hold on. I will read it to you from my official card. The Professional Photographers of America put out a card, and it's the 12 elements of a merit image. And that's basically how they judge an image for scoring. And the first one is impact. And we kind of talked about that with, Jeff's raw to awe. The next one's creativity, then style, composition, print presentation, and that's basically putting a frame around it. Center of interest, lighting, subject matter, color balance, technical excellence, technique, and storytelling. And storytelling's a big deal.
yeah, so when she mentioned this to me yesterday, I probably, if I could have been in front of her, I would have looked at her like she had three heads. Because I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. But the gist of that is, I think when we're taking pictures, we're the ones telling the story through our picture. And yes, there's the rule of leading lines, or there's the rule of thirds, and there are these specific composition guidelines or things that we base it on. But Joe, what you said about is it more geometric lines, that kind of thing. I think that it's interesting about the interpretation of that, and how if you captured something that was more geometric, how does that fall within some of those other composition guidelines?
I think it could be even architectural. When you think about leading lines, there's lines in architecture and the cityscape. I think it could be adapted from many things. I'm going to try and look it up and see if there's an actual definition.
Yeah, I think on our meetup group, hang on, I'll share my screen. I put a write-up, a basic thing in there based on, I have to go find this now.
Oh, well, while you're doing that, I just Googled it, and photography, leading line examples. Pay attention to man-made things such as roads, fences, boardwalks, bridges. Obviously, we don't have those at our house. Bricks, anything in a row, such as lampposts, buildings, doorways. So that kind of answers your question, doesn't it, Joe? Because it's not necessarily a road leading to, a group of trees or a pretty house.
No, I think you're probably right. I mean, my concept of a leading line was it kind of leads you into the photograph. But that's not to say that the picture, Lisa, that you posted just above where you're at right now isn't a great example of leading lines. I mean, that's a geometric shape, I would loosely call it. So
Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah,
think that's fine as a great example of leading lines. It kind of sucks you into the photograph. I think that's the purpose of leading lines. I'd be interested to hear what other people like to do with leading lines.
I agree with that too, Joe. I think that is the purpose. The only thing I wrote in here was just, it's a technique that draws, it draws you into the photo basically, based on the lines that you see. And
they don't have to be straight. They can be curved and take your eye through the whole picture.
yeah,
Like the sand dunes, that's a good example when you go out to the sand dunes and you see the lines kind of swirling all around, and it takes you through the whole composition.
yeah. So I think that's our next one, and we'll do the same thing. Submit your image, and then we'll, if you want to talk about it, great. If you don't, make sure you say so that we don't, talk about it. And then, I mean, we're certainly open to ideas. Most of what we're doing right now has evolved. It kind of started with the scavenger hunt that I randomly created because I was bored out of my mind. And I'm like, well, I'm pretty sure other people are bored too, so I'm just gonna do this. And then I thought, well, let's do something more focused each week. So that's where it came from. And as we complete, each one, we have more that will come out. We're not going to take reservations or RSVPs for those quite yet, although some of you may have already RSVP'd for those. But I've kind of hidden them so that they're not all out, because people were starting to post already, and I'm like, well, let's kind of just go through these as we go a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, tell them the truth. Tell them what I said. People don't read.
There's that too. So,
Then they were posting all this stuff that's like, have you read this? So we just kind of shut it down and go, okay, we don't care if you've taken the picture this year during the isolation. That's the deal. But don't be digging into your archives and putting dozens of pictures up from 10 years ago.
yeah, I mean, some people were posting a lot of pictures that weren't relevant to this time. And the whole point of this time is we're all taking a pause, right? Whether we like it or not. But it's a really great way to tweak your skill level and improve it and grow and make something positive out of this crazy time we're living through, all of us. And we can learn from each other, just like the conversation we've been having about what you saw when you were taking your pictures. Those things help me become a better photographer when I'm looking at, looking kind of at my image or what I want to take a picture of, and figure out how to capture it better. So that's all on that. Do we want to talk about the next JJ workshop and what we're going to be doing with Darren?
I haven't firmed that up yet.
Okay.
So once I get back with Darren, I'll post that and let everybody know. But basically, we're going to do something like this, but have him critique it. And I thought what I would do is invite other professional photographers to do this so we could submit something. And there'd probably be a small fee. And I don't know what that is, so I'm not going to even say what that is. But I find it really helpful to have somebody critique my images because they see things I didn't see. They bring up things I should have done or could have done, or they validate that it's absolutely perfect. No.
Right.
So, but that's really the only way we grow. You know, we can go post things on Facebook or Flickr or at the Meetup and then get lots of people saying, oh, nice, likey. But you don't grow from that. You grow from that positive reinforcement, those critiques and stretching yourself. So that's what I think we'll be able to do with this. And I'm really liking the Zoom thing. I think we
Yeah,
can
that's cool.
our connection here. We get more people on it.
Yeah, I'm hoping that it will bring more involvement. And, you know, who knows, maybe when we go back to quote normal, whatever that looks like in the future, you know, it might be, this may become something that we do periodically, you know, just because I think it's good.
Well, thanks for taking the time to put this together. It's interesting and challenging, and it gives us something to concentrate on. And the other thing it does is everybody, since everybody's doing the same subject, then you get a better, as opposed to like some open thing, then you get a better view on other people's interpretation of a particular concept. And I think that's kind of interesting.
Well, you're welcome and thank you. I appreciate that feedback. So,
Yeah, you guys, Lisa and
Yes, thank you.
you've done a great job. Thank you very much.
cool.
All right.
We'll call it a wrap. Are you going to post this, Lisa, or is this just
I
for us?
will, when we, I will post this in our Meetup, and then I think I can also send you the link via email because you signed up for this. So I'll make sure that you get to see it. But if you haven't already signed up for the Leading Lines one, get in there. If you do have any trouble getting signed up, just drop a note in there, and if we have to add you manually, we will. Meetup is tricky in how it works. There are things that just don't work like you think they should. So sometimes we have to manually force it. So if you have any trouble, you know, getting in there, let me know. But do make sure you sign up and register for the Zoom, because we have to make you register so that we don't get Zoom bombed, which is like photo bombed, but it's people that are Zoom bombing Zoom meetings, and sometimes they're bombing with porn or revealing themselves and things that we don't necessarily want to see. So that's why we make you register.
And you probably noticed that I put Jeff Johnson's next event out. It's going to be on the 15th. So be sure to register for that. And we'll be recording it. And if you can't make it, then you'll get a copy of the recording, a video.
Yep.
And hopefully he won't go for 2 hours.
You went for 2 hours last time?
He went, I was on the phone with him for over 3 hours.
Holy crap.
Yeah, we stayed afterwards, and he has a lot to say. I mean, it's always insightful, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's a long night.
And we're starting early too, because what happened is it got sold out. You know, in my past experience, when I do something, we have about a 30% no-show rate. And I made the mistake of saying that to JJ, and he oversold it by 30%. So that's why people weren't able to get in, because everybody showed up. And so,
Yeah, it took me like 5 minutes to find, since there wasn't an email from the day before, I had to go back through my emails from like 2 weeks before, and by the time I found it at 7:05 or whatever it was, I couldn't get in.
Well, just a hint, I went to the Meetup and the link was there. So if you ever have that happen, just go right back to the event on the Meetup, click on that link, and it already has your name in it and it'll let you in.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of things that we don't know, and like he hadn't used it before. I mean, I asked him literally a week before he did it, and he went and studied. And you know, to his credit, he learned how to use the Zoom client. So he did pretty good. Considering that there were a couple of things when he was showing us the wrong screen, but he didn't know. You know, so it took both Lisa and I. We worked through that whole thing, just trying to keep it going.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many people. It's been well, I do webinars for my job, but there's so many people on there that were asking questions in the chat that it was hard to keep up with all of that going on too. I mean, it took us all to do that, but the thing to take away on that is if you want to get in, his sessions always fill up. I will also say that Darren, his session, when he does his, that we're working out right now, it will fill up, and you should get in, like log in and get in early to secure your spot, even if that means you have to go to run to the restroom, get your coffee, get your beer, get your whatever.
Yeah, just get in there.
Just get in, because it's everybody is hungry for these gatherings. They're hungry to talk about the thing they love to do that they can't really do so much of right now. So get in, and they're going to be good.
Good.
It's going to be a really big show, a really big show. Yeah.
I just
Big,
changed.
big, really big.
I just changed it on my calendar from 6:30 to 6:15, so I remember.
And I think we're doing kind of a Zoom happy hour before the next one.
Yeah, bring your own drink.
Bring your drink. Yeah, you got to bring your own drink, and you know, we can troubleshoot any audio issues that you might have or video issues. But we will be asking people to show their face, at least at the beginning and at the end, because really, I feel like I've spent the last little over an hour with you, and I am so grateful.
Yeah.
It's better than I just see my dog. I live by myself. So.
And Suzanne travels. Look at that. Where are you
I'm
now?
in Machu Picchu.
Oh, how cool.
I actually took this picture in 2007.
Wow. That's
That's
cool.
awesome.
Very nice.
And Bruce is still in Iceland. Is it cold up
Oh,
there?
that's gorgeous. Yeah.
Well, all right. I will have to get this link ready. It takes a little while to process it, and then I'll get it out to everybody. And thanks for showing up on this Sunday afternoon.
Great.
Thank you
so much.
See you.
Thank
so
you.
much.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, Lisa. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Be well.
There you go.